Okay, first assignment for this week. I want to review first what we did last week. Okay, simplify. You want to rip off about 5 pieces of scratch paper from your notebook. So you've got 2x to the second power minus x minus 6 divided by 2x to the second power plus 5x plus 3. And we're going to multiply that by x to the second plus x and then x to the second minus 4. So to multiply rational expressions, there's 3 steps. Okay, and you got to figure out how many terms that you're trying to factor. So you've got 3 here, 2 here, 3 here, 2 here. So there's no single ones that you can just bring over, so we have to go to the piece of scratch paper. Okay, so that's 3 terms right there, so that would be Gcf. And then the T chart. Okay, GCF, it'd be 1, so you wouldn't have to do it. 2 times negative 6, 8 times C would be negative 12. So it's a positive times a negative, and we need to add to try to get to negative 1. Okay, 1 and 12, no. Divide by 2, you get 6, nope. Divide by 3, you get 4, cha-ching. Okay, and it's negative 1. Now your A is 2, so you're going to need 4 parentheses starting with 2x, 2x. 2x plus 3, 2x minus 4. Okay, so the 2 and the 3 would just stay the same, 2x plus 3. 2 and the 4, we would divide that down by 2, and it becomes x minus 2. And use a multiplication table. Okay, so that's what this turns into. There was no GCF, so I don't have to put anything in the front. So, and that's on top. That's a top expression. So we have 2x plus 3 and x minus 2. Okay, now the other one, the 2-term one I have on top, we have x to the second plus x. So that would be 2 terms. So that's GCF and DOPS. GCF, if you want to put 1s in front of those, that's fine. The GCF would be 1, but we'd have to include an x because the last term has x. So 1x comes out, and I divide by 1x. So it's going to be 1x plus 1, and then that wouldn't be a DOPS. So put 1x, and then x plus 1, or 1x plus 1, it's the same thing. Okay, and then on bottom, I have 2x to the power of 2 plus 5x plus 3. So that's 3 terms. So that would be GCF T. Okay, GCF would be 1. Okay. You wouldn't do an x. So A, B, C. So 2 times 3 is 6, positive. So let's go negative, negative. We're trying to add the factors to get to plus 5. 1 and 6, nope. Divide by 2, you get 3. And that's negative 5, but if I put plus plus, then it's positive 5. Okay, A is 2, so that would be 4 parentheses again. So it's 2x, 2x, plus 2, plus 3. Now if you have 2 and 2, you have to divide those by 2, both of them, okay? And that's x plus 1. 2 and 3, that would stay the same. Okay, so that becomes x plus 1 and 2x plus 3. Okay, now here we have x to the power of 2 minus 4. So that's 2 terms, so I would want to do a GCF. And then see if I can do a DOPS. A GCF, you wouldn't have one, okay? It's definitely a DOPS because we have x times x, we have the minus, and 2 times 2. So that's going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, now the hard work's done. You just have to cross out parentheses. So I can get rid of the 2x plus 3s. I can get rid of the x minus 2s. I can get rid of the x plus 1s. Okay? Not all of them. And then we have the parentheses x plus 2 still on bottom. Now outer factors, you just have an x and then nothing on bottom, so it's just x over x plus 2. Okay, then the next one I want to review from last week, we have 6x to the second y over xy to the second, okay, times 2y over 9x to the third. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. There's no pluses or minuses within that expression, so that's one term. That's one term. So everything's one term, so I can cross out step 1. I don't need to do any factoring and rewriting, okay? Because we wouldn't be able to factor these because they're all monomials. So 6 times 2 is 12, and then I would take x second, and then y times y is y to the second. Now on bottom you're going to have 9. X third would be x to the fourth, and then we'd have y to the second. Okay, now you just simplify this. Look at your 9 and 12 and 9. You take them, if you need it, you would divide both of those by the GCF, 9 and 12, so that would be 3. Okay, so that would be 4 and 3. X second, x fourth, so I take away the x second and subtract 2 from the bottom, and that's x to the second. Okay, y seconds would just cancel out, and we have 4 over 3x to the second. Okay. Okay, now the game changes on the next part. Okay, we are adding or subtracting the rational expressions. So here's the first one we're going to look at. That's what this lesson is adding or subtracting rational expressions. So we got 1 over 3x to the second plus x. And then 9x to the second minus 12x. Now adding's totally different than multiplying, okay? It's a totally different process. You don't, you might even need 1 page for each problem that you do, okay? Totally different ball game. You're going to start it the same way. That has 1 term, so don't parenthesize it. That has 1 term, don't parenthesize it. That's 1 single term because there's no pluses or minuses between anything. This right here we're going to put in parentheses, okay? Because that has more than 1 term, okay? That is 2 terms, 1, 2. Everything else has 1. Then what you need to do is make 2 big fraction lines here when you're adding. That's your first go-to. The things not in parentheses you just drop down in the front. So you got 1 and then 3x to the second. You have x. Now here's what you have to do with the 9x to the second minus 12x, okay? You need to take that off to the side somewhere and factor it. So it's 2 terms, so we would be looking for a GCF and then seeing if we have a DOP. So I'll just do that on this paper here. Okay, GCF out of 9 and 12 would be 3. We'd also need an x, so I factor out a 3x. So 3x minus 4, okay? That's not a DOPS because your x doesn't have an even power, so you can get rid of that, but you need to rewrite this now as 3x parentheses 3x minus 4. Now, to add fractions, we need to have what's called a lowest common denominator. You can just put LCD if you want, but lowest common denominator. Here's how you figure out, we need the bottoms to have exactly the same thing. Here's how we accomplish that. Put multiplication dots between 3 and x. Not x and 2, 2 is a power to the x. And over here, 3 and x, and then x in the parentheses. Now you got to look at all factors you have on the bottom. You have a 3. You have an x to the second, but we're not going to write x to the second. When we see an x not in parentheses, we call it outside x. Okay? You'll see how I handle the second power here in a bit. Then we have a 3. I already have a 3. I already have a category for 3. I have another outside x, so I don't write that. But then I have a parentheses of 3x minus 4. Okay. Now all you do is count how many factors you have of each. For 3's you have 1 and 1. That's good. They have an equal amount of 3 factors. So that's good. I don't need to make any adjustments there. For outside x, we have x to the second. That means that is 2 outer x's because it's to the second. This right here, this x here, that's 1 outside x. So we need to make it so that they both have 2. Okay? Here's how you accomplish that. You just take that x to the 2, and then you have to go up here. You also, if you change the bottom, you got to change the top. What you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So I need a 2 there. Now they both have 2. X second, x second. Now, parentheses 3x minus 4. Well, I don't have that here, so 0. I don't have any factors of that. Here I have 1 factor. So I need to get them both so they have 1. So I need to raise this by a factor of 3x minus 4. So I'm putting it here so that it matches. But then I also have to raise the top by that factor. Okay. Now the denominators are the same. Okay. That's how you accomplish that. Now, down here at the bottom, make a fraction. Okay. All right. Now, take one of the denominators, circle one or the other. It doesn't matter which one. We'll go with the first one, okay? Just write that down, okay? 3 times x to the second times 3x minus 4. Now, you have to figure out what goes on the top by simplifying the top. So what do you have on top? Because now you can combine it to make 1 because you have the same thing. Okay, so now I can just look across the top and simplify. So we have a 1 times 3x minus 4 plus x to the second. Okay, so we need to distribute there, and that would be 3x minus 4, and then plus x to the second. Now write that in the order, 1x to the second plus 3x minus 4. Then after that's simplified, you want to see if it factors. Okay, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but you need to at least try. So we have 1x to the second plus 3x minus 4, so that's 3 terms. So GCF and T-chart, okay. GCF would be 1, okay, you wouldn't do it. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4, so we're at, that's a positive times a negative then. We're adding to try to get positive 3. 1 and 4, well that's negative 3. To make it positive 3, you go plus, negative. Okay, A is 1, so you can always just get rid of the 1 and just go x minus 1 times x plus 4. Okay, so that's what we're going to write up here, x minus 1, x plus 4. The reason you factor is because if you have any parentheses, the same parentheses from top to bottom, you would cross those out, but we don't. That's the answer, okay? So on the spreadsheet, you would enter that. You would just go parentheses x minus 1, parentheses x plus 4, then you'd hit the division key, and then you'd have 3. Just don't hit a time, don't worry about the time side, just go x. Remember how to do, you go insert equation. To do x second, you click the 4th tab, and it's x to the b power. Now just go x, enter 2, then enter, then parentheses 3x minus 4. Okay. All right, so that would be the answer to that problem. That's just how you enter them. Okay, and that's going to be how we add these, okay, and I'm going to do several more because there's a lot of what-ifs that pop up here. We have x plus 3 over x second minus 2x minus 8 plus x minus 5, x to the second minus 12x plus 32. Okay, this has more than one term. That's 2, parenthesize it. That has 3. That has 2. That has 3. Okay, so you extend the fractions. Now, we don't have any monomials we can drop down like I did on the last problem, but if you look at this, that'd be 2 terms, but that would be GCF DOPS. but I don't think there's a GCF, and I don't think that's a DOP, so I would just drop that straight down, okay? GCF, DOPS, no, just drop it down then. If you know it's not going to do anything, then just drop it down. Okay, the three-term ones have to be factored. Okay, there are no three-term ones that don't factor. Minus 2x minus 8. Okay, Gcf table. Gcf 1, 2, and 8, that would be 1. Okay, so ABC, 1 times negative 8, so that's a positive times a negative. So we would add that to try to get to negative 2. 1 and 8, no. 2 and 4, boom. Okay, A is 1, so you can just write 2 parentheses, x plus 2, x minus 4. Okay, so we're rewriting that as x plus 2, x minus 4. Okay, now let's come over here. X to the second minus 12x plus 32. So that'd be GCF and table. GCF's 1. So 1 times 32 is 32 positive. Okay, so positive means it's a negative by negative. And we're adding to try to get to negative 12. 32 divided by 1 is 32. That wouldn't be negative 12. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Nope. 32 divided by 3 is a decimal. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So we add those, and there we go. Okay, A is 1, so you can get rid of the 1, and you can just go x minus 4, x minus 8. Okay, now we have to get the denominators to match. Okay, we need to do our LCD. Okay, so what do we have? We have x plus 2. You're just looking at the bottoms. The denominators, you don't care about the top. Okay, just the bottoms. You got x minus 2. You have a parentheses with x minus 4. You have x minus 4. Well, I already have that, so, and then x minus 8. Okay, so x plus 2, we have one factor there, no factors here. We need to raise this one up so it has one factor to match it. So x plus 2, you also have to bring it to the top then, okay? X minus 4, we have 1, 1, so that's good. That doesn't need any. X minus 8, you have 0, 1, okay? So x minus 8, x minus 8. Now make your fraction, circle one of the bottoms, it doesn't matter which one because they're the same. And just put that on the bottom, that's your common denominator. That's your lowest common denominator. Alright, now simplifying on top, we've got x plus 3 times x minus 8 plus x minus 5 times x plus 2. Okay, we have to apply the FOIL method here, okay, a couple different times. So first we go x times x times negative 8, 3 times x, 3 times negative 8. Don't stop there because we got to keep going. X times x times 2, negative 5 times x, and negative 5 times 2. So that's x second, put a 1 in front. That's going to be negative 8x, 3x, negative 24, x second, put a 1 in front, 2x, negative 5x, negative 10. So, collect your like terms. The highest power is second. So I got 1 plus 1, that would be 2. X's, we have a negative 3 plus 8 plus 2 plus negative 5. All those x's I need to add. Negative 8 plus 3 plus 2 plus negative 5, negative 8. And then constants, we add those two, that would be negative 34. Okay, now I go to my thing, see if I can factor it. 2x to the second minus 8x minus 34. Okay, GCF and T. 2, 8, and 34 have a GCF of 2. They're all even, but not with x, okay? So that's going to be 1x second minus 4x minus 17. Now, one thing you can do to see if that even factors, okay, this is what you can do. You can use this b squared minus 4ac, or I'll just do the table. We'll quickly see it wasn't. 1 times negative 17 is negative 17, okay? Positive times negative. Adding to negative 4, well, the problem is 17 is a prime number, okay? That's the only 2 that exists, and that doesn't add to negative 4. So, can't do it, so this is what we write. 2, parentheses, 1x second, or just x to the second, minus 4x minus 17. Okay, and that's simplified. Okay, yeah, it does take a little while, I will say that. Okay, next problem, we got x to the power of 2 minus 5 over x to the power of 2 plus 5x minus 14 minus x plus 3, x plus 7. Now, one thing, if you have a minus, here's what you need to do. You need to make that plus, put a 1 in front of that, make it negative, okay? And then make the 3 negative. You need to make, not on the bottom though, just on the top, okay? Keep the bottom the same. You just do it to the top expression. Okay, put parent, that's 2 terms, put a parent, that's 3. That's 2, that's 2. Now extend the lines. One thing I'm going to let you know when you do this, you don't even have to worry about factoring the tops. Just trust me on this, okay? Don't worry about factoring the tops, just the bottoms. The tops you can just drop down. The bottoms I would want it. Now this is a 2 terms, so this is GCF DOPS. Again, you don't factor the tops. I didn't make that clear in the first couple problems. We never factor the tops, just drop them down. You need to put parentheses, but drop them. Okay, no GCF, it ain't a DOPS, so we'll just drop that down. Okay, the 2 termers, you need to kind of use some common sense there. Okay, 3 terms can always be factored. They never give you 3 terms in the initial problem that can't be factored. So GCF would be 1 on that one, so we wouldn't do it in the T table. 1 times negative 14 is negative 14, so it's a positive times a negative. We're adding to try to get to positive 5. What the heck do they want? Okay. 1 and 14, nope. Divide by 2, you get 7. That's negative 5. To make it positive 5, you just go plus 7 minus 2. And A is 1. So it's going to be x minus 2, x plus 7. So you just rewrite that as x minus 2, x plus 7. Okay, now we have to come up with an LCD, lowest common denominator. So on the bottom, we have an x minus 2. We have an, of parentheses, an x plus 7. Then another x plus 7. Okay, x minus 2, I have 1 and 0. So I need to put an x minus 2 so that it matches the 1 over here. X plus 7, 1 to 1, we're good. Okay, so make your thing. And you're going to have x plus 7 and x minus 2. Now you got to simplify the top. Okay, so we got x second minus 5 plus negative 1x minus 3 times x minus 2. Okay, you don't have to FOIL on this side, okay? Just put your 1x second and your negative 5, because you wouldn't have to FOIL, but you do here, okay? And then circle those so you know that you remember them. Okay, so we got negative 1x times 1x. We have negative 1x times negative 2. You got negative 3 times 1x and negative 3 times negative 2. So that's going to be positive 1x to the second, or negative 1x second, my bad. Okay. And that's going to be positive 2x. I hate writing against a spiral. Negative 3x and 6. Now remember, you got these as well. So when we're combining like terms, x second's the highest. Okay, x second, we got 1 and negative. Oh, that's 0, so I can just get rid of that. Okay. X's, we have 2 and negative 3. That'd make negative 1. And then negative 5 and 6 would be 1. Okay. Now, that's only 2 terms this time, okay? So, GCF would be negative 1 on this one. You could, yeah, why don't you just factor out the negative 1? Negative 1 because you have a negative front, just that though. So it's going to be x minus 1. Not adopts because your x doesn't even have an even power though, okay? So we got negative 1 and then x minus 1. Okay, and then I can't cross out anything else. Okay, alright, the next one we've got. We already did this next example. I'm going to delete it. Okay, it won't be on your drive. Okay, I don't know why I had that. Okay, next one, we've got negative 15x over x to the second minus 8x plus 16 plus 12 and then x minus 4. Okay, that's one term. Don't parenthesize it. There's no plus or minus between. That's one term. That's 3 terms, and that's 2 terms. You need to parenthesize the ones that have more than one term or you're not going to do this right. Okay, drop the top straight down. We don't care. Don't factor the tops on adding and subtracting. Now, the last thing, the first problem I did in this video, the multiplying, I factor everything. But adding, subtracting, just the bottoms need to be. Okay, 2 terms. GCF dops. There wouldn't be a GCF, and that's not a dops. If there was a second power to the x, there would be, but there's not. So we're just going to carry that down. So really, all I have to factor is the x second minus 8x plus 16. I'll just do it here. Okay, GCF T, GCF's 1, and 1 times 16, 16 positive, so it's a negative times a negative, and we're adding to try to get to negative 8. It's 4 and 4, okay? A is 1, so you can get rid of it. So it's x minus 4 times x minus 4. Don't write it to the second power, okay? Just put, because you want to see both of them when you're doing this, so you're rewriting it. Okay, LCD. Well, we have a parentheses x minus 4, and another one, and another one. So it's just x minus 4 I have to worry about on bottom. 2, 1, okay? Well, we need to get them both to have 2. So I go x minus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, now down here you just put x minus 4, x minus 4. Okay, first one you got negative 15x plus 12 times x minus 4. Now negative 15x doesn't have any multiplication, so I'm going to write that over there and circle it. Now I need to distribute over here 12 times x and then 12 times negative 4. So that's 12x. That's negative 48. Okay, all you have is x, so blank x plus blank. So negative 15 plus 12 is negative 3, and then you have negative 48. Now let's see if we can factor the negative 3x minus 4 plus negative 48 or minus 48. It's 2 terms, so GCF. Let's see if you have adopts. GCF, well, you know you're going to need a negative because the first term's negative. Now, go to your multiplication chart and see if 48's in 3's row, like it is. Okay. You wouldn't do an x, you just go negative 3. So that's going to be x, 1x or x, plus 16. And that wouldn't be a dops. First off, your x doesn't have a power, and you have a plus. We're not doing any of that I stuff. If there's not a minus, it's not a dops. So you have negative 3, and then x plus 16. Can't cross out anything. That's the sum. That's the product. Okay, next one. We've got x plus 4 over x second minus 4 minus 15x minus 2. Make that plus and then negative on the 15. That's the only one you change. Anything on top of the second fraction. Okay, that's 2 terms, 2 terms, 2 terms, 1 term. Okay, so negative 15 I drop down. Okay. Now let's look at these 2 terms. There wouldn't be a GCF, or no, we just dropped the x plus 4 down without thinking. X minus 2, GCF dops. Well, there'd be no GCF and it's not a dops, so we'll just take that down. There's no GCF to that, but that is a dops, so let's just go ahead and make our 2 parentheses with the plus minus, because that'd be XX 2, 2. Okay. All right, now let's look at our LCD. We're going to have x plus 2 and x minus 2, and then right there. X plus 2, we got 1, 0, so we need to raise this up by x plus 2, by a factor of x plus 2. X minus 2, you got 1, 1, so you're good. Okay, so you have your common denominator. X plus 2, x minus 2. Now, figure out your top. Well, you got x plus 4 plus negative 15 times x plus 2. Now, you don't have to multiply from the first fraction. Just put 1x and 4. Second one, you have to multiply. You need to take negative 15 times x and negative 15 times 2. So it's going to be negative 15x and negative 30. Okay, so we got x and a constant. So we got 1 and negative 15. That's going to be negative 14. And then we have 4 and negative 30. That's negative 26. Now see if that factors. There you go, GCF, DOPS. Okay, GCF 14 and 26 would have a GCF of 2. It would have to be negative 2. So 7x plus 13. And that's not a DOPS, so you just write negative 2, 7x plus 13. Got here. Do the next one. We got 9x minus 3 plus 2x and then x plus 1. Okay. No parentheses on top. You need them on bottom. Those are just monomials. Okay. Drop your tops. Bottoms have 2 terms, but I don't think that's has a GCF or it's a DOPS, so it can't be factored. Neither can that one. Okay. So LCD, pretty easy. You got x minus 3 and you got x plus 1. So x minus 3, I got 1 and 0. So where there's 0, I need to raise it. X plus 1, I have 0, I have 1. Okay, and we have our common denominator. We have x plus 1, x minus 3. Now the top, you have 9 times x plus 1 plus 2x times x minus 3. Okay, you need to multiply. You're going to take 9 times x and then 9 times 1. Then over here, you're going to take 2x times 1x. and then 2x times negative 3. So that's going to be 9x, that's going to be 9, that's going to be 2x to the second, and that's going to be negative 6x. Okay, so x second we have, that's the degree of the polynomial on the top. So x second, you got 2x, 9 and negative 6 is 3, and then you got 9. Okay, see if that factors, or if it's prime. If it's prime, you just leave it. Sometimes a trinomial, a 3-term one, can be prime at this stage in the problem. It's not going to be that way at the beginning, okay? All those that are written at the beginning can be factored. 1. 2 times 9 is 18, okay? And you're adding to try to get positive 3. Yeah, that's 19, or negative. Divide by 2, you get 9, that's 11. 3, you get 6, that's, okay, that's the only ones that you have, so that can't be done. So it's 2x second plus 3x plus 9, okay? Okay, next one. I'm actually not going to do, I'm going to skip the next one because it's very similar to the last one, okay? Let's skip the next one. I'm going to jump down here to the x minus 4 over 5x minus 12 and then 5x minus 4. Remember, plus negative, just a 12, okay? That's how you handle the minus in between. You want it to be plus. Okay, what do we got? That has 2 terms. That has 1. Don't put it in parentheses. That has 1. And this one is already kind of done for me, okay? 5x minus 4. That's 5 parentheses x minus 4. Parentheses is already there, okay? So drop your tops down. You don't worry about factoring those. Now the bottom you put 5x, and x minus 4, the parentheses part of that, wouldn't be no GCF, wouldn't be a DOPS, okay? So I just write 5 times x minus 4. So no factoring at the beginning. Now LCD. Now you want to make sure you put dots between the factors because you have 5. This is called outside x, okay? Outside x. 5 I already have, and then parentheses x minus 4. Outside x is totally different than the parentheses x minus 4, okay? I'll repeat that again. Outside x and x minus 4, 2 totally different factors, okay? That's by itself. This has a minus 4. It's like a connection. So outer 5, you got 1, 1. Good. Outside x, you got 1 and 0. That does not count. That x is not outside, okay? It's not. So we're going to have to raise that by a factor of x, okay? So you just put an x, put it right before after the 5, so it's like this one. X, and you also got to put x on top. Now you're good, okay? X minus 4, 0, 1. So you raise that by x minus 4. Up top 2. Now you have your common denominator, okay? So bottom you got 5 times x and then x minus 4. So on top we have x minus, now the top is combined into 1. Okay, I have to multiply here but not here. I have to multiply FOIL here. So 1x times 1x, 1x times negative 4, negative 4 times 1x, and then negative 4 times negative 4. So that's going to give us 1x to the second, negative 4x, negative 4x, and 16. Then you have this, but that's not multiplied. I just put a negative 12x there. So now I combine like terms. So x second, you have 1. Okay. X, we had negative 4, and negative 12. That's going to add up to negative 20. then you have 16. Okay, we need to see if we can factor that. GCF is 1. So it'd be positive 16, that's a negative times a negative, and we'd have to try to add to get to negative 20. Right away, you're already under negative 20, you're never going to get it. So that's 1x to the second minus 20x plus 16. Okay, next one, 8 over 3x to the second minus 5 over 4x plus negative. Okay, all these are monomials, they all just drop down, okay? There wouldn't be any point in trying to, you wouldn't be able to factor any of them. Okay, 3 times x second, 4 times x. So LCD, we have a factor of 3. Don't put x second, that's called outer x. There's no such thing as x to the second on LCD, it's called outer x. X second means there's just 2 outer x's. Outer 4, that's another outer x. So again, that just goes in this category. 3, 1, 0. So just times a 3 here, times it here. Outer x, we got a 2 and a 1, okay? Well, if I raise this to the second, then they'll both have 2. Now, there's no x up there to just put a second power, so you just put times x, okay? Outer 4, 0 and 1, so times 4. Okay, now look at your LCDs, okay? I want you to take, you need to times the 3 and the 4, so that's going to make 12x to the second. Okay, so we have 8 times 4 plus negative 5 times 3 times x. Okay, so I've got 8 times 4 from the first fraction. The second fraction is a 3-factor multiplication, negative 5 times 3 times x. So that's 32. That's negative 15x. Okay, let's see if that can be factored. I know one thing, you would definitely have a negative GCF. It's 1, but since it's negative 1, you want to factor it out. So that's just going to make that 15x minus 32. Okay, and that's all she wrote because that's not adopts. Okay. Okay, next one, we've got 12 over 5x plus 7 over 6x. Okay, nothing would be parenthesized, they're all monomials. No polynomial. Polynomials means there's more than one. Okay, LCD. Okay, so we have 5, outer x, 6, and then another outer x. So 5, we got 1 and 0, so we need to times this by 5. Also the top, outer x, you got 1 and 1, so you're good there. Now 6, so 0, 1. It doesn't matter where you put the times 6 either, okay? Now you need to times the 5 and the 6. If you have 2 outer factors, you need to multiply them. 5 times 6 is 30x. Okay, so we have 12 times 6 plus 7 times 5. There's no parentheses, so we'll just go 72. 35, and we can add those. That's 107. That's all she wrote, man. Okay, next one. We've got 5 over x plus 2 plus 35 over x second minus 3x minus 10. 2, 3, 1, 1. Tops we never factor. GCF, no. DOPS, no. Bring it down. 3-termer, you're going to need to factor that. Okay, so GCF and T. GCF's 1, so forget that. 1 times negative 10 is negative 10, so it's a positive times a negative, and we're trying to add to get to negative 3. 1 and 10, nope. 2 and 5, yep. A is 1, so that's x plus 2, x minus 5. Okay, LCD. Put a times dot there. We got an x plus 2 factor. You got another one, so that'll just be 1 and 1, and then an x minus 5 factor. 1 to 1 on the x plus 2, x minus 5, 0 to 1, so we need to raise that by x minus 5. Okay, so we have x plus 2, x minus 5. Okay, so we have 5 times x minus 5 plus 35. So here we multiply, we take 5 times 1x, 5 times negative 5, and then the 35 can just be circled because you're not multiplying that. That's set. Negative 25, okay? Okay, so what do I have? Well, I got x and constants, so 5x, and then negative 25 plus 35 is 10. Now, I think that has a GCF. I mean, last time 5 and 10, I could divide both by 5. It'd be positive 5, but it's there, okay? That's going to be 1x or x plus 2. That wouldn't be a dot, so we're done at that point. So I just rewrite that as 5 times x plus 2. And what do you know? I could finally cross something out. So this is the answer, 5 over x minus 5. First time that happened, by the way. Okay, next one, x plus 2 over x second plus 4x plus 3 minus 5x, x is second minus 9, plus negative. Okay, parentheses, 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 no parentheses there, okay? Drop your tops down. Don't ever worry about factoring the tops on an adding problem. Okay, bottom, that's 2 terms. GCF, no, but that's definitely a DOPS, guys. That's x minus 3, x plus 3, xx, 3, 3, and the minus is there. Here. Okay. Okay, then we have x to the power of 2 plus 4x plus 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, positive. And we are adding to try to get to positive 4. 1 and 3 right there, that's 4, okay? Wouldn't be both negatives, they'd be positives. A is 1, so you can just make 2 parentheses, x plus 1, x plus 3. Okay, LCD. You've got x plus 1, x plus 3, x plus 3 again, and x minus 3. So x plus 1, 1 and 0. So x plus 1 times x plus 1. Okay. X plus 3, 1, 1, we're good. X minus 3, 0 to 1. So times x minus 3, x minus 3. Okay, now we have our common denominator. It's kind of a long denominator, but that's okay. X plus 3 times x minus 3 times x plus 1. Okay, now the top, we have x plus 2 times x minus 3 from the first fraction, then plus negative 5x times x plus 1. Okay, FOIL that. Okay, so 1x times 1x, 1x times negative 3, 2 times 1x, 2 times negative 3. Then we come over here, okay, negative 5x times 1x, and negative 5x times 1. So that's going to be 1x to the second, negative 3x, 2x, negative 6, negative 5x to the second, and negative 5x. Okay? So x second's your highest. So we got 1 and negative 5. Okay? We add those, that's going to make negative 4. Now the x's, we got a negative 3, a 2, a negative 5, and you add those. It's going to be negative 1, negative 6. Constant, you have negative 6. Okay, see if we can factor that. So we have negative 4x to the second minus 6x minus 6, so that'd be 3 terms. GCF and table. 4, 6, and 6 all have a GCF of 2, it'd be negative 2. So I factor out a negative 2. So it's going to be 2x second plus 3x plus 3. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6, positive, negative, negative. Adding to positive 3. Nope. Nope, and that's it, so I can't get it to work, so it'll just be negative 2 times the trinomial, 2x squared plus 3x plus 3. Okay, now I'm actually going to do number 1 along with you. Okay, this one's kind of a hard one. You got 7 over 9x to the second plus 2x plus 1, x second minus 4x plus 3. Okay, these two get parenthesized. So I drop my tops. Okay, the bottom, 9x squared. Okay, so we just drop that. That's a monomial, 9 times x squared. And we need to factor that guy. Okay, so 3. Okay, ABC, there'd be no GCF to that. Here, I'll just do it on another paper. So the GCF would be 1, okay. 1 times 3 is 3, positive. Adding to get to negative 4. 1, 3. It's negative, it's positive up there, so it's negative times negative. Now, we want it to be negative 4, so negative 1, negative 3 works. A is 1, so it'd be x minus 1, x minus 3. Okay, so LCD. We have 9, we have outer x. Remember, don't write x second. If you see an x down in parentheses, it's called outer x. Okay, then you have a parentheses of x minus 1 and x minus 3. So 9, you got 1 and 0. So you're going to put 9 and 9 times 9. Okay, put the 9 in the front of the parentheses when that happens. X second, you have 2. You don't have any here. Okay, these don't count because they're in parentheses. So you just put times x second. Just put an x second behind the 9. You want to put the number here and then x second behind the 9 there. Okay. X minus 1, 0 and 1. Okay, then x minus 3, I have 0 and 1 again. Wait a second, I looked at the wrong problem. Okay. Let me redo that. I combined the first. 9x second plus x over 3x squared plus 3x. Sorry about that. Okay, I wrote down the wrong thing. Okay, 7. Drop the tops down. Okay. 9x second, and then 3x squared plus 3x. So that's two terms, but it would have a GCF. Okay. The GCF is 3x. So it's going to be 1x plus 1, or x plus 1. So rewrite that as 3x times x plus 1. What I did was I combined the top here with this first one here with the second one here. Apologize for that. Okay, LCD. So you have 9. You have outer x. You have 3. You have outer x again, and you have the parentheses x plus 1. So 9, you got 1 and 0, okay? So we need to bring a 9 here, and then bring it to the top. Outer x, you have 2 and 1. Remember, that one doesn't count, so 2, 1. So I just go second, second. 3, I have 0 here and 1 here. So if I just times that by 3, we're good. X minus 1, I have 0, 1, okay? Okay, now what we have here is our common denominator, as messy as it might look, but we're going to clean that up because when I have two outer number factors, I need to times those. 9 times 3 is 27, x second, then x plus 1. Okay, now right here on top, here's one thing you're going to want to fix. You're going to want to put 7 times 3 and put that as 21. Okay, so you have 21 times x plus 1 plus 9x to the second. So you need to distribute here 21 times x, 21 times 1, and then your 9x squared is already simplified. Okay, so there's your three terms, 9x squared plus 21x plus 21. Okay, now if you go factor that, GCF is 3. That's going to be 3x squared plus 7x plus 7. The T-chart won't work on this one. Okay, you'd have 21 positive. You try to add to get to plus 7. 121, that'd be 22. 3 and 7, that's 10. And then there's nothing else. So I go 3 parentheses 3x squared plus 7x plus 7. Now you can't cross out parentheses, but you can reduce these outer factors, 3 and 27 by 3, so that's 1 and 9. Okay, that's the answer.